I think probably as it is now, Octoberish, you will get the floods. I don't remember anything as high as that November 2009. I mean, we had two hits, 2008, I think it was, late 2008, but the 2009.
I can remember one summer when there was flooding, which came down because the school was on the level on the main road, or set back from the main road, and the college buildings were up on the hill opposite, when the water absolutely poured down the college drive, across the road, through the basements of our houses. And one thing I do remember was a hen house floating down full of clucking chickens, which must have been awful for them. And we had a building which was already called the Ark, which was a wooden building in the grounds, which was a sort of overflow schoolroom, really. And that got flooded as well, appropriately. I think that must have been about 1952.
Right. And of course I've boated around there a lot. But what I remember is the way the level of the lake used to oscillate quite violently according to the weather. If we had a wet week, it would be I won't say a raging torrent, but it would be brown water and it would be rushing out of the lake there at Fellfoot. And then if we had a really hot, dry summer, then you could just walk across the lake. You just walk across there.
That's a big difference now, isn't it?
Well, that's the impression I have. And I really wouldn't like to say that this is gospel, but I believe that when in the late 50s, Manchester started extracting its supplementary water supplies up near Ambleside there, that they are creaming off available water, and it's stopping the level of the lake from going up and down like it used to. Of course, in that great flood of, was it 2 or 3 years ago, then they obviously didn't succeed in controlling it, and it washed out the Newbybridge Hotel and right through Back Barrow there, to an incredible...
I do remember being very, very wet, and the Water Edge Hotel. I remember one occasion when the water came up to the 7th step of the staircase in the hotel. So there's nothing new about having floods up here, but they nearly always used to take place in August.
Really?
Yeah. August was definitely the rainy season in the Lake District.
Well, eventually they built the weir at Newbybridge to keep the lake level high, presumably to help lake users. But before that, the lake used to get much lower in a hot summer. So that, if I remember correctly, at the end of the concrete pier at Millerground, you would walk on stones at the end of that before you got to the water.
Very low flows in the early spring. Salmon Reds just down below Newbybridge were on the sides of the river, just high and dry. There was just a trickle going down the river, just a trickle. And it would have been 78, the worst year of the drought, which I think was the first year from memory. It may have been 98. I really can't remember without looking at my notebooks. The whole population of fish in the river died. Nature has a strategy for dealing with that, though, and they come back after a couple of years. They recolonise. But no, it was a difficult time, and we haven't had a time just like that, fortunately, again. And the abstraction regime and management of water stocks in Windermere has come to the fore, and recently, over the last couple of years, new management methods, rules have been negotiated between users of Windermere, agency, the angling concerns, and anybody that uses Windermere, basically, from the boats, the big boats to the little boats, all the rest of it. New monitoring methods as well have been installed, and I think it's better now than it ever was. It was just a bit of a black art at one time, and very few people knew anything about inputting into that black art.